record before I forget. There we go. So let me just give you a brief intro on Megan. She and I met in Josh Coates' mastermind group when I started doing that in January and February. She was one of the amazing coaches in there, and she and I have kept in touch since then, but it was pretty awesome in Punta Cana. We ran into each other at the elite party. Neither of us really knew anybody else there, so we got a chance to hang out in person, and our husbands got to meet. And it was just, it's so nice when you have those opportunities outside of this virtual world to connect with people. So she is a rock star in her business. She's been coaching for 4 years, 2-time elite coach, 7-star in her first business center, 3rd-star in your second?
2-star.
2-star in her second, diamond in her third. I mean, just 2-time elite coach. We can learn so much from her. But I love that when I said, what do you want to talk about this evening? She said, I'd love to talk about emotional capacity, because I think that's something that we all could really benefit from, and something that as I know so many coaches on our team have just had kind of a roller coaster of emotions in 2017 so far. So that's why I said, wherever you are in your business, an active coach and non-active coach, I think that this is going to be super valuable for you and for me. And I'm super excited to hear what she has to share with us. So I'll turn it over to you, Megan.
Awesome. Thank you for that awesome intro. Yeah, I was so excited when I saw you at the elite party. I was like, yay, someone I know. Oh my gosh, I don't know anyone here. Because now the trips are separate, like they split us all up. So it was, anyway, you guys have an awesome, awesome coach. Megan rocked our team call. They loved it, by the way. They just really loved it. And it was just great. So we had a lot of new coaches on that call. So that was a really cool first call for them, actually. So I'm going to share a little bit about, like Megan was saying, emotional capacity. And this is something I read in the book No Limits by John Maxwell, his new book. I think if you got if you hit Success Club last month, I think tomorrow is the call that he's running. And I think he's going to talk about this book. So it kind of fits in perfectly. It's an amazing book. It's really long. It's like 300 something pages, but it's so worth it. And every single chapter, he really goes through an exercise and applying exercise at the end. So you have to actually apply what you're learning, which is so key with personal development. It's so easy to think you're doing it, but you're not really absorbing it. And you're not really, taking what you're learning and actually applying it. So this was like a really amazing chapter. And I immediately was like, I need to do a call on this for my team, because I know I needed this. I know they needed this. And I've done it in a couple other teams right now, and they all really, really benefited from it. And it can apply to every area in your life. So I'm going to share my screen. I have a little PowerPoint. I just realized I have 15% on my computer, so I might have to run into another room in a little bit to charge it while we're on this call. But I'm going to try to bust through this, because I want to, respect your guys' time, and I totally understand you got to go to a summit call. So I'm going to give you guys this PowerPoint as well, so that you can, look through it also. So what is emotional capacity? Basically, it's the ability to handle adversity, failure, criticism, change, and pressure in a positive way. All of these things create stress in our lives. And I know you guys, you were saying some of you had roller coaster 2017s. I totally have had roller coaster 2017, especially with the business. And, especially as an entrepreneur, you're going to have really high highs and really low lows. And it can be really stressful. And every day life is happening, and you still have to show up with your business. And it's hard to do that. And this chapter specifically in this PowerPoint really will teach you how to do that, and how to learn how to keep going and keep showing up for this business, even when your life is just throwing you so many curveballs. So the inability to deal with stress or emotional pressure takes a lot out of people. They give up, they break down, or do unhealthy things to escape the pressure. I know a lot of my history, I definitely would cope with food. I'd cope with wine. I'd cope with even work, like overworking. And there's so many ways to cope with things that aren't healthy. And I know a lot of our challengers deal with that. So this is kind of going to teach you and help you teach your challengers and your coaches how to cope with stressors without reverting to those unhealthy things. Emotionally strong people are able to manage their emotions and process through these difficulties. This allows them to increase their capacity and moves them closer to reaching their full potential. So there's a couple, I think there's 5 or 6 or 7 actually points. So I'm going to run through these, but the first point is emotionally strong people are proactive in dealing with their emotions. They never say, that's just how I feel, I can't help that. They are never victims of their own feelings. Remember, emotions are the precursors of emotions. That means you can do things to influence your emotions. Maybe you can't control them completely, but you can change them through your actions. So choosing in the morning For example, I don't look at my phone. I have it on airplane mode. I don't look at my messages from my team or customers or prospects. I make a coffee. I take my apple cider vinegar. I chug water, and I read my personal development, and I journal, and I get my mind right. So I'm being a precursor. I'm making sure that I'm getting my actions ready for the day, because doing that kind of habit in the morning or some kind of personal development before you look at the messages or social media really sets your mind up for the day. And everyone can do that, whether you have 5 minutes while you're getting ready in the morning or on your way to work. I really urge you to do that. It sets your mind up so much stronger for the day. So this is one thing that I loved from the book, so I copied it directly. If I feel depressed, I will sing. If I feel sad, I will laugh. If I feel ill, I will double my labor. If I feel fear, I will plunge ahead. If I feel inferior, I will wear new garments. If I feel uncertain, I will raise my voice. If I feel poverty, I will think of wealth to come. If I feel incompetent, I will remember past success. If I feel insignificant, I will remember my goals. Today, I will be master of my emotions. So just really going, okay, crappy stuff's going to happen in my day, but I'm going to be proactive in handling it. And I'm already going to know that something might happen that's going to bug me, but I'm going to handle it well. And I'm going to be ready because I'm going to have these tools. The second point is emotionally strong people do not waste time feeling sorry for themselves. This is a big one. I'm not going to read all the quotes just to save time, but you can't complain and get ahead at the same time. Moaning about your troubles and moving in the right direction rarely happen together. It's why I love gratitude journals, because you can't be grateful for something and in a bad mood at the same time. It's just impossible, which is why I think that's such a great way to start your day, with gratitude. Many of life's annoyances just have to be ignored. That doesn't mean that we suppress, ignore, or deny every pain. Serious pain has to be confronted. But one mark of resilience is learning to tell which pain deserves our attention. Paying attention to every pain all the time doesn't lead to resilience. It usually leads to whining. And I really love that, because obviously if some big stress in your life happens, whether it's a significant other or a family member who's ill or a birth of a child or something traumatic that happens, you have to deal with it. Of course, you shouldn't brush it under the rug. But the little annoyances. Today, I actually was at the grocery store, and there's a huge puddle, and I didn't see it, and I slipped and I fell. It was totally fine. I actually fell into like a squat. It was really funny. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm such a fitness person. I fell into a squat. So I was actually really fine. But I like banged my knee for a second, and I was like annoyed for 5 seconds. And then I could tell like the person at the grocery store felt so bad because they didn't clean it up in time. And they were probably like terrified. Oh my gosh, did she get hurt? Is she going to sue us? And I was like, I'm totally fine. Just clean it up before an older person comes around and might slip. That could be really bad. You know, they don't like lunge when they fall. So, and it's such a tiny thing, but it's an example of something that I know people personally who would take that and make that as an excuse for the rest of their day to suck because they fell, you know, and they're fine. And they're going to make it the rest of the day be a bad day. So that's really something you should think about, is like, what little things get you annoyed that you know you can just brush off. And the more you start to brush the little annoyances off, it puts it into perspective, because big things will happen in your life. And that's really when things get put into perspective, when actual really serious things do happen. So 3, emotionally strong people do not allow others to control their relationships. The weaker person usually controls the relationship. Emotionally strong people usually have the ability to adjust to difficult relationships, while the weaker person can't or won't. So think about that in your relationship dynamics, whether it's with your coaches, your customers, your friends, your significant others, your family, it doesn't matter. If you are the emotionally stronger person in the relationship, but you are unconscious of the dynamic, so you're like, I'm not sure who's the weaker or stronger person. If you are conscious of the dynamics, you can choose to passively adapt to the other person and kind of do what they're doing and make them feel good in that sense, or you can take action to try to influence the dynamics or to distance yourself. So basically, in a nutshell, I copied this right from the book. It's a little confusing in my opinion, but basically what he's saying is, you know, there's going to be times in your life where there's people that you don't agree with and that are trying to make you sway in a certain way. Just like our challengers, sometimes their family is not supportive of their healthy changes, and they can either distance themselves from those people, or they can try to influence them themselves and try to encourage them to join them. But they have to make that decision. And if you're the stronger person in the relationship, you'll either stand your ground and have to distance yourself if that person is no longer, I'm not going to say no longer serving you, but basically we've all had, I'm sure, those people in our life who were like, why am I still friends with this person? Like, we have nothing in common. We don't have the same values, and we're just not bettering each other's lives right now, or they're kind of sucking the energy out of my life. And you have to be careful, and you have to distance yourself from people like that. That's a huge part of it. And he talked about that a lot in the book. So look at the people in your life that you're trying to please. Where are they headed? What are their motives? Do they understand the bigger vision that you're trying to reach? Are their desires in the best interests of others? Look for positive role models of leadership, growth, and success. What do they do? What are their priorities? How do they fulfill their vision? How do they treat others? That's so big. My nephew actually made a post. He just turned 19. Yeah, 19. And he made a post the other day. It said something like, character is shown when by people, when they treat people who they can't make money, or they don't have any gain from someone, and they treat them with respect, or they treat them with kindness. So like, I'm butchering this quote right now, but you know what I mean? Like, someone who really can't affect you at all. They can't affect your rank. They can't affect your income. They can't affect your life, but you still treat them with kindness. That's when your true character is shown. And so think about that too. The people you're surrounding yourself with, are they those kinds of people? Sometimes you have to let go of old relationships to embrace a new way of living and leading. I know, especially with this business, I've made amazing, amazing friends with this business because we're like-minded. I'm sure a lot of you guys, same thing. Some of your best friends are probably your coaches now. And a lot of people from my past life are not in my life anymore because we just have different visions and different life goals now. And that's okay. People evolve, people grow, and people change. And that's just part of life. So number 4, emotionally strong people do not waste energy on things they can't control. This one was probably the hardest one for me to read because it's the one I struggle with the most. So this is a quote from Nelson Mandela. Our surroundings need not control our spirit. People who devalue us do not determine our value. Dreams can be birthed during the daily grind, which I love. Out of our brokenness, we can be made whole and bring healing to others. So the reason I like this one, or hated this one, is because this is so hard, I think, for any coach, especially when you start building a team, is knowing that there's only so many things you can control, especially when it comes to your team. So controlling what you can and not wasting energy on what you can't is one of the most important lessons we can learn in life. You must understand the difference between a fact of life and a problem. A fact of life is something you can't control or fix. A problem is something that you can fix. So what can you control? You can control your attitude. Only you determine how you think or feel. Your time, only you determine how you spend it and who you spend it with. Your priorities, only you determine what's actually important in life and how much time you give these essentials. Your passion, only you will identify what you love and what you were created to do. Your potential, only you will determine where you commit yourself to grow. Your calling, only you will answer to God someday for your purpose or universe or whatever you believe in. And then I shared my list because he had an exercise at the end of this chapter to write a list of what you can and can't control in your life. And this was the hardest one for me out of all of the points. So I actually read this every day because I need to read it for my sanity. So what can I control? My workouts, my eating, my personal development, my daily tasks, how much I do of each one. My business development, how much I learn every day and or outsource, my time growing with Mike as a wife, reading, therapy, my entrepreneurial endeavors, learning, growing, and exploring new avenues of income, how many hours I work a day, how many new coaches I invite a day to find my rock stars, having a set system for training new coaches. That's stuff I can control. What I can't control is how people respond to my invites. I can send as many invites as I want, but I can't control what they say. How my coaches perform or show up every day. I can give my coaches all the tools and I can give them the support and the love, but they've got to show up. I'm sure that's for me the hardest one and the most frustrating one. And I'm sure you guys have had that happen to you as well. I think in this business, that's probably the hardest thing too. And then if a new coach takes off, actually does the work to have success in this business, again, there's only so much you can do. They have to meet you halfway. If my husband responds well to our reading or our therapy, if someone actually signs up, because that's something that I can't control. You know, I can give them the tools, I can give them the value, I can present it great, but it's up to them. A challenger, if they actually commit to their workouts and, eat healthy and actually do what they need to do, because that's something that's also frustrating in this business when you give people the tools and they don't do it. So therefore they don't get results. And it can be so frustrating when we know that this does work. So that's, again, something you can't control though. The president and his actions, that's just a personal thing on my list. And then my dad and his eating. My dad's very overweight, and especially with what we do for a living, it's frustrating. He has lost a good amount of weight, but he's been stalled for a long time. And I realized finally that I cannot control what he does, and I kind of have to let it go. And when he's ready, he'll know I'm here. So this list literally helps me get through the day. It like helps me get through the tough parts of this business, because this business is incredible. And again, the highs are so high, but the lows can be really frustrating. And this helps put it into perspective so much. So I highly encourage you guys to make your list. Let me see if there's an outlet here really quick, because I know my computer's gonna die if I don't charge it. All right,
Megan, this is so awesome. I don't want you to feel rushed at all. Like,
oh,
you're
no.
so valuable. So
I just don't want to lose my power. Let me go into my room. You guys are gonna see my bedroom.
I mean, like when I was on your call and I completely dropped it.
Oh my God, I forgot about that.
Oh man.
We were like, oh no, she was wrong. What happened? Where'd she go? Okay. Actually, I don't even know if do I need a light? No, we're good.
No, you're good. We can see you.
Okay, let me plug this in. Yeah, I don't know about you guys, but number 4 is definitely the hardest one for me. Oh my Lord.
And if you said this at the beginning, what book was this? I know it's a John Maxwell book.
It's called No Limits.
No Limits. Okay, that's what I thought, but I wasn't 100% sure.
Yeah. It's like a big blue book, but it's awesome.
Did you read it or listen to it? It sounds like
I read it. I actually did read it. I love audiobooks for certain books, but I love reading. I just like holding a book.
Yeah.
But I know,
it sounds like with some of these activities, it would be good to exercise. It would be good to have a hard copy.
Oh, definitely. But I know once I have children, I probably will never read again.
Yeah.
I know. I'm very lucky right now. Once I have kids, nope, no reading.
No, but there are certain books. Like the first time I bought a couple of Gabby Bernstein's books, I started listening to them and I was like, I have to order this. I can't, so. Okay, go on. Sorry.
No, that's fine. That's really cool. Okay, so we're plugged in, guys. We're good. So number 5, emotionally strong people do not keep making the same mistakes. Reflection turns experience into insight. So the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, but expecting different results. I know we've all heard that one before. So basically he was saying, like, stop this, figure out why your efforts aren't getting positive results, and change course. It's not over until you've learned from it. And I know we've all heard that, like, your mistakes are not failures. They're just, your failures aren't failures. They're just mistakes. And they're really chances for you to learn from them. So he kind of goes into how do you learn from them? What can you do next? Instead of, the thing I love about this book too, is it's not just like theory, it's actual application. He gives you actionable things to do. So he says, review every night. You should review by yourself, set aside time to reflect and ask yourself, what mistakes did I make today? That's why I love this book, the 5-Minute Journal, it's called. I'm sure some of you guys have heard of it. Just if you go to the5minutejournal.com, you can order it. It's for like 6 months too. I think it's like $20, but it's literally lasts you for 6 months. And every morning you write 3 things you're grateful for, 2 things you would like to happen for the day, and an affirmation. And then at night you write down 3 great things that happened and 2 things that could have gone better, basically. And so this is kind of part of that. And I do that every single day and night. And again, it like opens your day really well and closes your day really well. And so you kind of think like, what mistakes did I make today? Or not like, what did I suck at today? But basically, what could I have done better? What could I have worked on? Think to yourself, what do you need to change? Don't focus on others or circumstances. What can I learn from what I did wrong today? Talk to yourself, coach yourself to remain positive. This is really key because you don't want to just talk negatively to yourself just because you had some things go wrong. You want to coach yourself to remain positive while looking at your negatives. You're learning and growing from your mistakes, and each effort gets you closer to becoming the person you are meant to be. Direct yourself. Avoid making the same mistakes by making an I should list. Determine the right direction you need to go to leave that mistake behind, and then take action. Don't carry the weight of your I should list very long. Get them over to your I did list quickly. So this is a really good exercise to start doing, even if it's for like 5 minutes before bed. It's a really good exercise. So the 6th point he made was emotionally strong people don't allow the highs or lows to control their lives. He who rules his emotions is greater than he that takes a city. I think that's such a good quote. And if you think about it, like the people who you really do look up to, like think about, do they like, if they're having a really crappy day, do they just like out of nowhere, like just get super angry and go crazy? They're held together. You know what I mean? Like there's going to be really high highs in this business, and
like if you hit a certain rank, and it's going to feel really good and you're going to be on top of the world. But if you let that get to you, you're going to take your foot off the pedal. I'm not saying you can't go on vacation and you can enjoy, of course, your success. But if you take your foot off the pedal and you don't keep building and you don't keep recruiting, you're going to see it go the other way. And then there's the low lows when you miss a rank, or you miss something, or you lose a builder, or something big happens, and the low lows can really suck. I'm sure we've all dealt with that. This year especially have been like so many roller coasters. And it's so easy to let that get to you emotionally and then like stop working, or just blame everything else and say, woe is me, when that's when you need to keep your head, like keep your eyes on the game, put your head down, don't look at anyone else, like put your blinders on. That's what I was looking for. Put your blinders on and just focus on your business and what makes you happy with it. We shouldn't let hard things take us down too low, or we can become discouraged, but we also shouldn't let our highs take us too high. And success has a tendency to make us complacent. The only reason I put diamond is because I really find that so many people get to diamond and then that's it. And then they like stay at diamond for so long. And I have coaches who've done this too. And I got to diamond, and I think I was diamond for, it took me so long to get to diamond. So that's probably why. But I saw, like, I think the reason I had this flip, like right before I got to diamond. So I actually didn't stay just diamond long because I had that in my head. And also because it took me so dang long to get diamond that I was like, this is just the first step. Let's just keep going. And so I really try to encourage my coaches that, like, we have a push to diamond group going on right now for Summit, but I'm like, guys, we need to plan out your 2-star, because diamond is just the first step. Do not think that getting to diamond is this holy grail and that all of your problems will be solved and you're going to make all this money, because that's just not how it goes. And I remember thinking that. I remember being like, I'm going to get to diamond and everything's going to be wonderful. It's great. And you should celebrate and you should be proud of yourself. Like, it's awesome. But I try to, like, especially in my diamond group now, I try to like present it like, diamond's easy. It really is. It's getting to emerald basically 4 times. And you kind of have to think like that, because if you don't, you'll become so complacent, and then you'll just coast at that level when you could do so much more in your business if you just change your perspective on it. So I only bring that up because I see it happen all the time. Number 7, emotionally strong people understand, appreciate, and grow through their struggles. It's human nature to resist change, particularly when it comes in the form of adversity and challenges. But change is inevitable, and developing the trait of resilience helps us not only survive change, but also learn, grow, and thrive on it. Resilience is the capacity to cope with stress and adversity. It comes from believing in yourself and at the same time in something bigger than yourself. Resilience is not a trait that people are born with. It involves behaviors, thoughts, and actions that can be learned and developed in anyone. And I love this because think about like a new coach. Like, I literally right before this, I got off like 2 minutes before this call, and I had a new coach call, and she's brand new. She hasn't done anything, and she's nervous, and she probably looks at me like, how can I ever get to where she is? And I'm like, I literally started where you are, exactly where you are. And I love that they talked about that on the National Wake Up Call today. I think Michael Neiman was saying, like, all of these top 10 coaches, they started exactly where brand new people were. They were new one time. So it's hard to see something bigger than yourself when you're in your day to day. But that's why events like Summit or quarterly events are so important to get to, because it really shows you what's possible. And that's why I love the National Wake Up Call, because they talk about where they started, and if they can do it, anyone can do it. I really truly believe that. So continuing with that is, I start this so positively, you will fail. But he talks about that, like, you will fail, especially in the beginning, you will fail. And that's not just okay, but it's essential. Without resilience, the first failure is also the last, because it's final. Again, if you look at your failures, like we were saying in number 5, as mistakes, not failures, then you're going to get up and you're going to be fine. Those who are excellent at their work have learned to comfortably exist with failure. The excellent fail more often than the mediocre. They begin more. They attempt more. They attack more. Mastery lives quietly atop a mountain of mistakes. Just like Megan was saying, she invited like 15 people to the Sean T week. So I bet you there's someone else who invited like 3 and got all no's, and so they think they failed. She invited 15. She probably got no, I'm not saying you did, but I'm just giving an example. Say you got 12 no's, but you had 3 people say yes. Well, that's because you invited 15 and not 3. So it just totally puts it into perspective. People who succeed, they just try more. They just attempt more. And I just really love that. Mastery lives quietly atop a mountain of mistakes. I love that quote so much. And then Steve Jobs, erase the board of your achievements and allow yourself to be a beginner again. When I just kind of go back to the basics, like besides like the business development stuff that you got to do when you're building your business at a bigger level, when you have to like, start to do attraction marketing and stuff like that. Besides that, the basics are the basics. And when people just get back to that, to literally doing the vital behaviors that we hear all the time, we overcomplicate things. It's amazing what can happen in your business when you just get back to that. And that's what feels really good too in this business. So application for you guys to take away. So in the past, think about it. Have you considered yourself to be emotionally strong or emotionally weak, and why? So I want you guys to do this homework when you leave this call or after your summit call. Definitely do this. And I'll share this PowerPoint with you, Megan, so you can share it with them. And then go through this. Which of the 7 practices of emotionally strong people are you best at doing? And which is most difficult for you, and why? And how could you specifically improve on this area? So like I was telling you guys, the one I picked, and this is actually the application he had us do at the end of the chapter, was or I think it was 4, but D here. Do not waste energy on things you can't control. That's the hardest thing for me. And why is because I'm a control freak. That's pretty simple. That's it. So what do I do to improve that area is I wrote out a note on my phone, like I showed you guys, of what I can and can't control. And I read it every day. And it makes such a difference. And because I do that, I teach my team that more clearly now. Even though I still struggle with it every single day, it does get a little easier when I do read that. So that's one little thing. This didn't take long to apply. It took me like 5 minutes. And that's making such a difference in my mentality every day with this business, is seriously from this application. So I feel like with this business, like we have all the tools we need. You guys, obviously you're on an elite team. You have the tools, you know what you need to do. But at the end of the day, that's not why people don't succeed. They have the tools, they know what to do, but it's something else holding them back. And it could be this. It could be that you're letting the highs and the lows dictate how you actually show up every day. So I hope this helped. Definitely get that book. It really, really is an amazing book. And I quoted some other things. I don't have the book with me, but if you guys get the book and you can reference that. But John Maxwell will talk on that tomorrow too for the Success Club call. So that'll be great. But that's it. That's all I got for you. Oh, there's lots of messages.
I think some of us were ordering the book while you
Yay! He should give you a piece of it. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, Megan, that was awesome. I mean, it couldn't be more on point for, I think, what so many of us are feeling. And, especially, I think maybe that's just something that's in the makeup of Beachbody coaches, that worrying about the things you can't control can just take you down a wormhole that you'll never get out of. So I love that. I can see that. I can see that reading those things every single day would really kind of just reaffirm, and get you focused on what you can and can't control, and make letting go of the other stuff a little bit easier.
Yeah, 100%. It's especially when you're trying to rank advance, like there's so many things you can't control, and you're like, and if you're a control freak at all, it just drives you nuts.
Yeah. So. And I've noticed, and I felt a little bit of it from time to time, but I've noticed, like, some of the girls on our team, you get in this like all or nothing mentality, like where you're all in and you want it to go your way. And when it doesn't go your way and you just can't like keep up with that pressure, you're just like, I'm done. I'm going to take a month off. I'm going to take time off. And I think that it's hard. It takes everything that you just mentioned are activities and ways to kind of coach yourself through that. But I love today, if you guys haven't listened to the National Wake Up Call from today, I thought it was so amazing. But Julie's point about, you be coachable. Like, you have to be willing to work on you. You have to be willing to be open to the resources provided for you and not quit. And this just was such a great call to sync up with that. Thank you so much.
That worked out well.
Yeah. Do you guys have any questions that are still on? Yeah, Margot.
I just want to say, Megan, thanks so much for being here. And I feel like maybe this is only like what I hear when I listen to some of the National Wake Up Calls and stuff, but you hear these people who are like, I was diamond in like 10 days. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like that is not me. Like, will I ever be good at it? Like, will I ever reach a level of success? Because I'm definitely not doing this as quick as some of these like all-stars you hear about. So being able to like, first of all, what I really love about this organization is that you have these opportunities to speak with and listen to people that are like top performers. That's truly something that I think is really unique about this organization. So I really love that. But also that like, you're not the first person to say it, but it just feels like right now that you're one of the first to be like, it took me a long time to get to diamond. I don't even know what a long time is because, you know, that might not help. But still is like, feels a little bit like comforting and like build some confidence for someone like me who feels like they're on a little bit like of a slower progression. So to not think that like, just because you don't hit diamond in 10 days, like you still have a chance of,
100%. Exactly. And I've seen guys, I've had people, no, that's such a good point, Margot. And I've had 3 coaches on my team hit diamond in 30 days. I did do it after I like had my second and third center. Cause then once you get going, you just are like, oh, okay, I know how to do this now. You know what I mean? But it took time. Trust me, it took me a long time. And they hit it in 30 days and only one of them is still a diamond. One completely quit. And one I think is not even emerald. So, and the one who's a diamond is like a rock star. He's like best coach on my team. And he's like insanely committed. But I see it more often than not when people do it super quick. Sometimes it's not always a good thing because it's a little too easy for them. And then when stuff gets hard, they're like, oh, well, this is too hard. I don't want to do this anymore, you know? Whereas if you have to work your butt off to get there, you're like, all right, I am not stopping. I'm going to keep going. And it's like you really earn that. So I honestly rather someone take a little longer sometimes because I think it shows that it's hard work, you know? So
great. Thank
keep
you.
going. Keep going, girl.
That's a good perspective.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much. This was so valuable. I would love to I know you said you'll send those slides over, and guys, I will share those out. And don't you think there's so many great parts of those like that we can plug into our challenge group like immediately in terms of how you talk to your challengers and get them prepped for success in their own journey. So thank you.
You're welcome. Have a fun summit call, guys.
All right. See ya.
Bye.